Welcome into the Farzy Show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This little program presented by Steven Singer Jewelers. Hey, are you enjoying your life right now? Did you enjoy the fact that the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl? Did you like learning that news? Did you like that Carter Hart got a shutout? Do you like the idea that the Sixers were playing at a season-high level around the time the Eagles clinched their Super Bowl appearance? Was all that fine and dandy? Do you like the idea that my throat's still gone. Do you like the idea that the Phillies are reporting after making it to the World Series to spring training in just a little over 2 weeks? Do you like all that? Do you like all that? Do you have love in your heart right now? Do you want the Sixers to squash that like they did last night against the Orlando Magic? What the hell was that? There's like sometimes where we have these things and things happen and we say to ourselves, this is why we can't have nice things. Last night was a perfect example of that, where the Sixers led by as much as 21 points on a, can I use the term hapless Orlando Magic team that hadn't even got to the 20-win mark on the season. Now they have, courtesy of the Sixers blowing that 21-point lead, courtesy of the Sixers blowing their third largest lead in Doc Rivers' tenure, including the playoffs here in Philadelphia. Sixers come out of halftime, allow a 42-point third quarter by the Magic as they storm back. All of a sudden, they turn into the Showtime Lakers, and they storm back on our beloved Sixers last night into their winning streak, handing them the L, and the Sixers couldn't do anything right. They pulled to within 6, I believe it was, on a James Harden layup, and I'm like, okay, all right, let's keep that going. Let's keep that going. Keep it together. And they weren't able to keep it together. And I found myself with that charge that Joel Embiid I thought he took a charge. They ended up calling a block at N1 for the Magic, and they reviewed it. It was upheld. Shocking. And I thought to myself, I was pissed. And then what stopped me from being pissed? I'm still pissed that they lost that game because this is too good a team after beating the Trailblazers, beating the Nets, obviously, winning against the Denver Nuggets the way they won against the Denver Nuggets in the absolutely incredible game that Joel Embiid. Whenever anyone wants to throw in my face the idea that Jokic is well deserving of those MVPs, not even close. He's a better player than Joel Embiid. I'm just going to throw the highlight reel of that game and how Joel Embiid just cooked Joker in that game. So you're riding a high, you're feeling great about your Sixers, and then against the Magic, that's what happened last night. If you're going to watch the highlights, let me just save the trouble. Here's the highlights of the Sixers game. I'll say, there, okay, squata. That's what it was last night. It was awful. Or just watch the first half. Don't even watch the second half. Just, they're still capable of playing great basketball. Turn it off. They'll get a revenge game tomorrow against the same Magic team. But the game ends. Oh, so I digress before interrupting myself again. Joel Embiid gets the non-call. He gets called for the block, I should say. Okay. I thought it was a charge. I was pissed. And then I thought, I shouldn't be pissed off at one blown call in this game because it's the Orlando Magic who got nothing going on this year, taking on a 76ers team that is finally gaining respect around the league, finally getting into a 2 seed in the Eastern Conference and the way too early glance at the standings, whatever you want to call it, although it is almost February. I shouldn't be pissed at it, but I was. I'm more pissed at the idea that they dropped this game. I'm more pissed that they took their foot off the gas. I'm more pissed that you let Paolo Banchero come back in this game and lead his team along with Markelle Fultz to come back into this game and allow the Sixers to blow a 21-point lead. That's what I'm more pissed off about. And then I thought, Doc Rivers after the game, he acknowledged that again, and this seems to be a common theme in losses for the Sixers, that they just take their foot off the gas and they allow the other team to be the aggressor. And this is what drives me crazy about the NBA and a lot of sports, as a matter of fact. But you really want to talk about teams losing focus. And this is why I get into the bulletin board material, the fact that it does work, because bulletin board material allows a team to pull focus. And that's what it allows them to do. You beat teams a lot of times, like last night, when they lose focus. And last night, the Sixers certainly lost focus. They were almost taken off guard that the Orlando Magic of all teams would have the gall, would have the guts to be able to come at them and be able to storm back in that game. They would have just lied out and die and say, all right, you know what, you guys are up 15 at this point. Here's the red carpet to a victory. How dare the Magic fight back in this game? I say good for the Magic. I say horrible for the 76ers. Horrible for the 76ers. And they rolled out the red carpet and allowed the Magic to come back into this game and dominate. 14-4 run late in the game. About midway through the fourth quarter, they go on that 14-4 run. And really from that point on, they were in control. I mean, really from the third quarter on, but you still thought, all right, it's the fourth quarter. They're going to pull focus. They're going to get it together. And they started to make a little bit of run, and the Magic were just like, yeah, no, this is our game today, and that's it. Whether it was Banchero, I forget who it was, hit the three from the top of the key, but really from that point on, it was just the Magic handling the business. Now it'd be nice to see the Sixers come back. And by the way, another double for Joel Embiid last night, which is great. But the Sixers will get an opportunity to right the ship against this Orlando Magic team tomorrow night. Sixers take the 119-109 loss. I find it so crazy that in the NBA, you can have these great runs, and it is always a game of runs. It's a cliche, but it's so true. But I find it so interesting that you could be up by so much and blow it. Like, if you're looking at a game of all the four major sports, like what's most likely to be like a big lead to be blown? It's basketball, because it's a game of runs. But when you have a team like the Sixers, who are far superior to a team like the Orlando Magic, to allow a third quarter like that is mind-boggling to me. Absolutely mind-boggling. And I know that they played so great. I mentioned some teams that they just beat, and they're going riding this nice winning streak, and they get up so high in the standings, and that's great. But to play down to your opponent for 2 quarters of basketball, for a whole half of basketball, should not happen to any team. The unfortunate fact of the matter is that it does. And I was just waiting for Doc Rivers last night to talk about a scheduled loss, a letdown game, if you will. He didn't go there. Fortunately. But that's kind of what it felt like. I was waiting for that explanation. Oh, they're due. It's a scheduled loss. Sixers were due for this kind of letdown game. I only hope that this type of game leads to a little bit more extra added motivation for the next one, so that they at least split. I can't even believe I'm saying this. They at least split with the Orlando Magic and restore great jubilation in this city for what is in front of us here with the Eagles going to the Super Bowl a week from Sunday. Jeff Kerr is going to join us from CBS Sports and Jacob Media coming up a little bit later in the program. Look forward to talking to Jeff about all things Eagles and what's going to be going on with this team en route to the Super Bowl. I have seen quite a bit. First off, let me just get to the jubilation here. For the people that are really looking to go to that Super Bowl, and I do recommend that everyone at some point in their life, if they're lucky enough to go to a Super Bowl. It's absolutely incredible to go to a Super Bowl. It's everything that is hyped up. It is that. It is amazing. Ticket prices as of right now, $7,500 if you want a ticket to the Super Bowl. I saw some fan sites, tickets, hotel accommodations, all that, flights were around $15,000 for a package. Okay. Enjoy yourselves. That's a steep price. But it is definitely an incredible experience. I will say that. I don't know if it's anything that's going to be up to. I don't know if it's going to be anything up to $15,000, but holy pots and pans. But anyway, that's what the ticket prices are up right now, $7,500. Looking at some of the people's reaction from San Francisco. Oh my God. People were all up in my comments yesterday after the show. I guess hitting that West Coast audience a little bit later in the day ruffled some feathers out there in San Francisco. Guys, it's happened to a lot of teams. People, it's happened to a lot of teams. I'm not ignoring the fact, like, I mentioned this during yesterday's show. Seth Joyner said, like, there's no freebies, right? There's no freebies when it comes to winning a playoff game, winning an NFC championship, being a conference champion. There's no freebies in making it to the Super Bowl. You earn everything. I get that. This wasn't free, but I do acknowledge the idea that the Eagles got this at a bit of a discount, all right? A bit of a discount. And that's fine. But it happens to everybody. Every team. This happens to every team. At least once, maybe more. Where you go out there and you know what? You don't put your best foot forward. Guys do get injured during the course of games. It's unfortunate, and I know whatever roots for it, but it happened. Do you want to make the argument that if Brock Purdy, and I saw this too, if Brock Purdy stayed healthy the whole game, the Eagles would have lost? You know what? You might be right, because the Eagles weren't playing well yesterday. The defense was playing great. That's without question. Defense was playing great throughout that game. Jalen Hurts, and let me acknowledge this, Jalen Hurts did not have a great game yesterday. Didn't need to. And look at this. The Eagles quarterback, MVP candidate, did not play at a high level in that game against the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game. Did not play at a high level. Had not played anything close to the level we saw him playing at. There was overthrows to A.J. Brown. There was underthrows down the sideline to Devontae Smith. The big play that he did have for the first touchdown of the game was actually a drop, but the refs missed it. Yes, a lot of things went the Eagles' way in that game. But with all that said, they still 31 points in total. They still put up on the number one defense in the NFL. Let's not lose sight. And here's what I think Philadelphia is great at as a fan base. And it's something that I don't think we get enough credit for, to be honest with you, because it's always taken with such a negative tone. And the negative tone is that we boo our own players. Who would do that? Well, a lot of cities. We just do it with a little bit more extra added juice, right? But when it comes to this Eagles team, when it comes to our teams in general in Philadelphia, we acknowledge pretty much before anybody else what we suck at in that game. For instance, if it was the Eagles defense being the best defense in the NFL and only averaging just over 16 points per game throughout the entire season, and the Eagles defense went out there and allowed 31 points, guess who'd be the first people being like, well, the defense sucked today? The Philadelphia fan base be the first people going out there and saying that. Meanwhile, San Francisco, oh, the refs. Did you go back and watch those penalties? Legit penalties, especially on that 14-play drive. Your guy got hurt. Yeah, guy got hurt because the offensive line got blown up. And the Eagles pass rush, Hassan Reddick, for instance, was playing on with a big old chip on his shoulder because around the other side of the football field, Nick Bosa was getting all the accolades for Defensive Player of the Year, and rightfully so. 18.5 sacks is pretty damn good. Hassan Reddick was right there, and he dominated in that game. Ndamukong Suh could have been signed by anybody. He wanted to come to Philadelphia. He came to Philadelphia, and he got after Josh Johnson in that game. Knocked him out. I would be pissed. Would I feel like I got a legitimate shot? I'll tell you who I agree with above anybody else. George Kittle. George Kittle, taken to the podium after the game, was asked the question point blank, and wow, what a ballsy question. How do you feel about losing the NFC Championship game because you didn't have a quarterback? You know what he said? Yeah, it sucks. It sucks. He didn't say, well, everyone works hard, and Josh Johnson tried his best. He works hard, and, Christian McCaffrey threw a ball, and he works hard. He didn't go that route. He went the route of, yep, everything sucks. Everything sucks. And you know what? I don't blame him, because he's right. He's 1,000 billion% right. But, man, San Francisco fans, good Lord, you're crying and you're Dungeness crabs. By the way, that analogy did come to mind during the game. San Francisco 49ers defense against the Eagles was like a Dungeness crab. All bulk and no filling. If you've had a Dungeness crab before, it's pretty much just the claws, and they're good. But I'd much rather have, a Maryland blue claw. I'd much rather, and yes, I know they come from Virginia, but it ain't the question. I'd much rather have a Baltimore crab over a Dungeness crab. Anyway, argument for another day. Let me tell you about Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right there on Jewelers Row. Home with the perfect price each and every day online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price, the perfect price. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, let's jump on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. Talk to our man, Jeff Kerr of CBS Sports, Jacob Media. Good morning, NFC East. He joins the program right now. Jeff, welcome in, my friend. How are you?
Hey, Farzy. I'll tell you what, my friend. We're doing a nice little, combo this morning? I'm joining you, and, I'm joining you today, and then What? You're joining me in about an hour? I promise I'll be a lot more up. My eyes will be looking a lot better.
Are you a coffee man? Are you an espresso man?
I am an espresso man, actually.
Oh, well, by all means. Excuse me.
Oh, nice. Caramel?
Caramel?
Are you a caramel guy?
I am absolutely not caramel. I want that stuff as close to gasoline as possible. My Polish side of the family, my cousin Doug says that he used to manage restaurants, and on his wedding day, I kid you not, I said, "Is there anything I could do for you?" And I know things come up on a wedding day, so just let me know what I can do. He goes, "Go to the new restaurant I'm managing, try the espresso. I know you're an espresso connoisseur, and let me know what you think." I said, "Anything for my baby cousin." I go to the place, I try the espresso. It's horrible. It is dreadfully disgusting, atrocious. Okay, he doesn't manage this place anymore, so I can say it. So he's now in the liquor business. So anyway, then I go and but I'm like, I want to have something that I can tell him that I like. So I get the cappuccino. The cappuccino was fantastic. So I tell him I got the cappuccino. It was amazing. Meanwhile, his sister, who I already told the story to, my cousin Jess, love you so much. She's like, "And how'd you like the espresso?" I was like, "Damn it, Jess." And I was like, "It was terrible." He's like, "Yeah, you're Italian. You like motor oil." And I'm like, "Yeah, all right, fine. You got me there. But no, I don't do the caramel. I don't do the sugar. Just hook it to my veins, friend. Hook it to my veins.
Oh, man. I'm a big iced coffee guy, too. I've really gotten into iced coffee over the last couple years. I don't know why I like iced coffee. I think it's more of I don't feel like drinking a hot beverage in the summer. So I got to drink iced coffee.
Okay. I can see that. Hey, have you ever had a Dungeness crab?
I've never had a Dungeness crab. I heard you talk about that, though.
Disappointing. I will say this: disappointing experience. I had one in San Francisco a number of years ago. We're making out over here on this part of the United States, where the Maryland Blue Claws. That's the way to go. I would much rather have that.
I always have respect for 49ers fans. After Sunday, you know what? No. And keep in mind, I've dealt with 49ers fans all year. I never heard them whine like this. They had whined like this in the NFC Championship game last year.
They did not. But at least they had a quarterback.
Well, yeah. You know what it is? They thought Brock Purdy was the third coming of Joe Montana and Steve Young, and turned out he wasn't. He got hurt. I feel bad he got hurt, but it's not like he got hurt on he planted his foot or something. No, he got hit and he got hurt.
You know what's interesting to me? They're crying foul because two quarterbacks got knocked out in that game. Now, if the Eagles would have knocked quarterbacks out in a way that Trent Williams threw Kayvon Wallace to the ground and then the quarterback had to leave the game, then I'd understand the gripe. But they were legit good pass rushes where there was no penalty. There was no knock to the head with a concussion from a hand slap. True, that's what happened to Josh Johnson when he fell backwards and Ndamukong Suh took him down. So that's a legal play. That's a good play. But they're acting as if the Eagles were going out there headhunting in this game when that's not at all the case.
No. Here's the thing. They did not believe the Eagles' pass rush was as good as it was. Their fan base, their coaching staff, their players, they did not believe the Eagles were going to out-physical the physical team. And I think it was a real reality check for 3 hours that the Eagles were just better than them. And people are trying to diminish the Eagles' wins, saying they had the easiest path to the Super Bowl. I don't care. They outscored their opponent 69-14, Mark.
Yeah, I don't care either. I never look at it and go, you know what? I wish our path was harder. No, whoever the hell thinks that is just nuts. But you got to beat who's in front of you. There were other teams in the NFC East. By the way, 3 playoff teams in this division alone. Eagles, Jalen Hurts 6-0 against playoff teams this year. They did what they needed to do to get to this point. I give them all the credit in the world for it. Was it the hardest path? No, obviously not. You got to beat, though, like I said, who's in front of you. But when it comes to this particular game, I will say this. It was no freebie. There was no red carpet. But I do feel a little dirty that, especially in the second half, if you had a quarterback, it was somebody who couldn't throw like Brock Purdy. You're relying on Christian McCaffrey to try to make a play for you with throwing the football. There's a number of things in this game that make you go, all right, fine. Yes, it wasn't a freebie, but it was a little easier than it should have been. Do you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, I would agree with that. So what I thought with this whole run, right? if someone would have told me the Eagles are going to face Daniel Jones and Josh Johnson on the road to the Super Bowl, I said, well, I guess I'll book my hotel now
Yeah, right.
before it gets busy. But yeah, I will. If someone told me the Kansas City Chiefs had a harder path to the Super Bowl, yeah, I would agree because you had to face a hot Jacksonville Jaguars team. By the way, they were the red hot team, not the New York Giants, who were 3-5-1 going into that game.
Uh-huh.
So you're facing Jacksonville. That was a tough game. Mahomes gets injured. Then he's playing with the high ankle sprain. You're playing a Cincinnati team that owned you for the most part. I know they really didn't, but they did win the last three. And you win a tough game against them at home. But I think this taught me a big lesson here. And I remember when home field advantage was a big deal, Mark?
Sure.
When you got home field advantage and you got that bye, I feel like we're getting back to that. You're getting rewarded for being the number one seed. And I think it was the 49ers writer who said going into the game, well, the Eagles he was starting like the easy pass stuff. And I was like, wait a minute, you're punishing the Eagles because they're the best team in the conference?
Right.
Is that what we're doing now? Like, and I think it was the guy from The Athletic, and I'm like, wait, don't you write for like this holier than thou newspaper? This holier than thou website? Which, by the way, I love a lot of writers from The Athletic.
Oh, absolutely.
Our writers are great. Zach Berman, Bo Wolf, love those guys.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I've met certain guys from there. I'm just like, wait, seriously? Like, this is what we're doing now? Like, everything's about hot takes? And I don't know, Mark. It's, to me, I just feel like the two teams, from what I observed all year, were the two best teams in football. They're playing in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. This is the matchup I wanted to see. This is the matchup we're getting. I wouldn't much look again in the idea of I never want the hardest path. Like I don't mind the easy path. I don't mind an easier path. Right. I wanted the Bengals. I feel like this defensive line would have eaten Joe Burrow for breakfast in that game. But Patrick Mahomes, him on the field against Jalen Hurts, that's great. Obviously, then the storylines of Andy Reid and the Kelce brothers are nice too. But what matters to me the most is Patrick Mahomes. Now, just real quick, on the people trying to discredit the Eagles, here's one of the best parts about the week off leading up to the Super Bowl, when you have this week that we're going through right now. We can look back on all the conversations about the Eagles having that easy path or whatever they want to say. It's not as accredited or acclaimed to make the run that they have. It's like, I can't hear you because we're up here and all the complaints are way down here. All that matters is that you made the Super Bowl. In a couple of years, you're not even going to remember the schedule that went on this season. The Eagles, bottom line, did what they needed to do whenever they faced adversity. They were able to come out on they were so good this season that they could afford to not have their starting MVP quarterback for 2 games and still come back and be able to clinch home field advantage. That, to me, is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They've been good all year. This isn't just they're a red hot team going into the Super Bowl. It's weird, Mark. It feels like the 04 run and the 17 run, but the 17 run, your starting quarterback got hurt. It does feel like 04 though. You just rolled to this hot start. You were 13-1. You could rest guys, but you didn't have T.O. And everybody was like, okay, how good is this team? They're back to square one. They're back to how this team was before T.O. I'm like, no. This team is good. They're by far the best team in the NFC. They crushed the Vikings. They crushed the Falcons. And then you get Tom Brady and the Patriots. It kind of feels like that. You're getting the dynasty, right? Like, if there's a dynasty in the NFL, there's going to be one. Right now, it's Andy Murray and Patrick Mahomes. So it kind of feels like that. Although I don't have doubts about this team like I did in 04. In 04, remember, they got their butts beat by Pittsburgh 27-3. And I'm like, okay, they're good. They're really good. But are they the best? This team, I feel, is the best. And if they lose to the Chiefs, there's no shame in that.
Mm. Yeah, you're losing to the best, obviously. You're losing to probably the guy that is going to be the MVP. Let's talk a little bit about Jalen Hurts. All right, let's get away from the excitement for 1 second. And I know we're all excited. Jalen Hurts did not play particularly well in this game. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing. Like, you look at the score and you're like, wow, 31-7. All right, they got good field position in a couple of different instances. They got first downs via penalty, legit penalties, but still via penalty. You'd rather see a nice play being made by the Eagles in order to get that first down as opposed to a yellow flag on the field giving them that first down. What was your assessment of Jalen Hurts in this game? And if you're at all concerned about what's going to transpire over the next 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl?
If I had to grade Jalen, honestly, and this could be generous, I think a B. Is that fine? Because he did have a rushing touchdown. He did move the ball well. He took a couple hits. I mean, the 49ers, they do have a good defense. I mean, let's not sugarcoat it. But he missed A.J. Brown on that long touchdown. He missed A.J. Brown on a throw that I thought should have been the first. He missed a couple throws. Is it his shoulder? I don't think so, because I've been told his shoulder isn't as bad as people say it is. So maybe he's just had a rough game. I mean, it happens, but he when he's on the field, you have to account for both aspects of it, the throwing and the running. And he did beat the 49ers with his legs on Sunday, and he was the reason why they were able to extend that 14-7 lead into 21-7, 28-7, etc. So in terms of getting the job done, and it's his conference title game, you're not supposed to be like Patrick Mahomes and throw for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns on a bad ankle. So I got to go with a B there. He did enough to get the job done. He's in the Super Bowl. Now, there's going to be no elements. I know the weather was very nice on Sunday. There's going to be no elements in Glendale, but the spotlight's going to be on. I feel like he's going to be a little juiced up for this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You did mention Patrick Mahomes, though, and his high ankle sprain. What's the latest there? I know he fought through it, obviously, over the last week to be able to get ready to play in that game, went through a full week of practice and all that. My thought is if he's at all banged up, this defensive line and Hassan Reddick, they're going to be licking their chops. But as far as Patrick Mahomes goes, what do you think the evaluation is there on the ankle?
I think he's hurting. I think I don't want to say he re-aggravated it, but he's definitely hurting. I think he's going to do whatever he can to play in this game. Obviously, he's going to play.
Yeah.
How healthy is he? I don't know. I'll have to ask a couple guys on the Chiefs how healthy Patrick Mahomes really is. It feels like he's playing at, I want to say 85, 90%, but something that he's going to have to rest. He's going to have to rehab this offseason. It's probably going to get worse. I'm curious to see what happens when he runs out of the pocket in the Super Bowl. And I think that's where the Eagles have the advantage here because their defensive line is really good. And they've been able to beat any good offensive line they face this year. Now, I will say this. The Chiefs' offensive line is severely underrated. Orlando Brown is a lot better player than people give him credit for. Joe Dooney's really good. Creed Humphrey, if it ain't Jason Kelce, it's Creed Humphrey in terms of ranking centers in the NFL. Then you got Trey Smith. And, this is a team that they can stop the Eagles' pass rush. The thing is, no one's been able to do it because the Eagles are so deep. So I'm curious to see what happens. Mahomes is going to have to get rid of the ball quick. He's going to have to, and if they're going to throw a lot, it's going to be a lot of quick passes. You're going to have to use Isaiah Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon to your advantage.
Now, I was on Kansas City radio yesterday, and they asked me about Andy Reid here in Philadelphia, his legacy and all that. And I went to, it was the longest sustained success. You always felt like you had a chance to win the Super Bowl. And then, it got to like the 5th NFC Championship game. It's like, all right, maybe we could just keep getting over this hump, right? Let's get back to that Super Bowl. And it only happened once after the 4th one, I think it was. So what do you think of Andy Reid in Philly? And then you think of Andy Reid with the Kansas City Chiefs. What do you think is the most different about him as a coach, not personnel-wise, but as a coach? What do you think is the biggest difference between Andy Reid, Philadelphia, and Andy Reid, Kansas City?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Mark, because I was going to answer with, well, he's not GM anymore, so
Right.
that definitely helps him. I think Andy is still Andy. As someone who I've watched every Chiefs game since Andy's been there. He's still the same guy. Every player I talk to loves him. Travis Kelce loves Andy Reid, by the way. Patrick Mahomes loves Andy Reid. That's every time I talk to them, I always got to ask them about Coach Reid. They're like, man, Coach Reid does not change. And they're right. He doesn't. No one on that team, he feels like the same guy he was here 20 years ago. He's very trusting of his players. He lets them have fun. And like he said this week with the trash talk, he said, I'm glad they didn't let it get into their heads. I'm glad they fired back, but not like how Cincinnati would fire back.
Right.
He said they handled the situation beautifully. And, Andy's a guy like, hey, you can talk all trash you want. Just do it after you win. And that's what they did. It felt like those old Eagles teams when Hugh Douglas and Jeremiah Trotter and, all those guys were on. They would save that talk for after they beat you. And it just felt like to me, and look, Andy hasn't changed. He's still the same guy. He still drinks the water before the press conferences, still does the, all that stuff, does times yours. He has a routine. He's still Andy. I don't know why Eagles fans did not like success. I always say that. Someone said to me when I said the Eagles were a joke before Andy Reid took over, well, they made 6 playoff appearances in 11 years. I said, so you liked Ray Rhodes and Rich Kotite? Is that what you're telling me? Because I hated those years. I couldn't stand them. They never had a chance to win a Super Bowl. I tell people this all the time. I was only 8 when they played the 49ers, but I was a huge Steve Young fan.
With Ty Detmer?
Yeah, with Ty Detmer, yes. So I was a huge Steve Young fan. I was a huge Jerry Rice fan, but I love the Eagles. I watched a lot of 49ers games back in the day. And I'm like, this team is struggling going in here. They have no chance to beat this team. And it's 60 degrees out, 50-mile-per-hour winds, it's raining. I'm like, they're not going to beat this team. That's what that 49ers-Eagles game felt like this week. And remember, Ty Detmer played like crap, got injured. Mark Rippon came in, played like crap. It was just a terrible, terrible game. And it was like every year with the Eagles, even when they made the playoffs, it's like, they have no shot going to the Super Bowl. Andy Reid changed the culture of that franchise that still exists today. And for any Eagles fan that denies that or doesn't like Reid, I just tell them that you haven't been an Eagles fan that long. Bottom line.
I agree. I agree. I think the Eagles for a long time, yes, they made the playoffs. Yes, Ray Rhodes was 10-6 in back-to-back years. And then I think it was 6-10 in back-to-back years and got fired there. But he was a coach of the year when he got hired. He was the last defensive-minded coach that the Eagles hired as well. But before then, it was floundering. It was like that mediocrity type thing. And it was like almost the Sixers needed to go through a process. The Eagles needed to go through Andy Reid. Now, even though the Sixers haven't delivered that championship yet, they haven't made it past the second round yet, you still have hope that they're going to do it. Andy Reid gave that hope back to the Eagles fans. They actually could have a Super Bowl winning team. It didn't work out here. But as far as the difference there, I think you hit the nail on the head. It comes to delegation. Here in Philadelphia, it was like he won. As a guy building up his career, coming from a tight ends coach, quarterbacks coach, assistant head coach in Green Bay, to now head coach in Philadelphia, it was like he wanted to ascend, build that career up, be the head coach, get say in the front office, take that over eventually, and that's what he did. And then when he went to Kansas City, I thought, this guy is going to start delegating a little bit. He's going to learn from the mistakes and the ways that he was set in Philadelphia. He's going to get that restart because he is a good head coach. And he's got a Super Bowl win now, and now he's back in another Super Bowl. So for me, I think once he got away and learned how to delegate and trust the people around him, and that's not just in the front office, I think that's also giving a little bit more leeway to a guy like Eric Bieniemy as a play caller, doing that a little bit with Doug Peterson when Doug Peterson was there. I think that's really what Andy Reid has had a lot. I think that's the reason he's had a lot more success as a head coach, not just because Patrick Mahomes, but because he has realized that he can trust the people around him.
And that's the thing, Mike. I mean, you did, Mark. See, this is what happens when it's
I know. You haven't had your espresso yet.
I haven't had my espresso yet. I am getting it after the show, by the way. So, but you hit the nail on the head, Mark. You really did. It's, Bob Sutton ran the defense the first time. Steve Spagnuolo ran the defense the second time. Andy Reid wanted to be like Mike Holmgren. Remember Mike Holmgren?
Sure.
The reason he left Green Bay was he was never going to get that front office gig. It just wasn't going to happen. So he had to go somewhere else to get it. That's how he landed in Seattle, of all places. He was head coach. He was general manager. He was second vice president of football operations. That's what Andy Reid eventually was with the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles gave him that power. It didn't work out. Mike Holmgren took the Seahawks to the Super Bowl, but he wasn't Mike Holmgren anymore.
Right.
He wasn't a guy you feared.
Do you remember? Do you real quick? Do you remember the title? I remember the publications all had the same title from Mike Holmgren. Czar of football operation. Yeah. What the hell? Might be the most overdramatic term ever in sports.
I hated those Seahawks teams in the 2000s because remember they were always like Super Bowl contenders. I'm like Super Bowl contenders go 8-8. Yeah. That's what they were. They had that year to 05. They finally did it. They were a good football team. And you know what? I'm curious how social media would have been in 05 at that Super Bowl because they had a legit gripe for what happened to them in that Super Bowl.
It's still the worst. I tease Barrett Brooks about it all the time. I tease him all the time about it. I'm like, you got that.
That's right. Barrett was in that game.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's funny too because like every time I think of Barrett, I think of him rotating between left tackle and right tackle on those bad Ray Rhodes teams. And by the way, that's the other thing. I get Eagles fans probably don't remember this. Their offensive lines used to be atrocious before Andy Reid showed up.
No doubt. Hey, real quick, before I let you go, because I know you still want to do some prep and get your espresso before your show.
I'm up now, Mark.
I'm still fighting a cold. All All right. So, and then I'm doing your show at 7:20. So I look forward to that. So people just hop right on over and Jacob Media and watch Jeff and I again. Here's the thing. When it comes to this matchup here, Eagles, it looks like a lot of sportsbook pick 'em. Eagles 1.5-point favorite. Where are you leaning right now in the way too early Super Bowl prediction between the Chiefs and the Eagles?
Which is funny because I got to do one for CBS Sports every year this week. I only do one. I only predict one game.
Okay.
And it's always the Super Bowl. I tell them, don't give me predictions, but they're like, well, you got to pick the Super Bowl. People actually care what you have to say. So I'm like, all right, well, I got some news for people. I've done this 4 years. I've gotten all 4 picks right.
Oh,
and last year, I'm like Romodamus here. I said, it's going to come down to, this is Bengals Rams. I said, it's going to come down to the Bengals are going to be driving for the opportunity to win the football game. And Aaron Donald's going to make the play of the game because their offensive line isn't going to hold up against the Rams' dangerous front.
Look at that.
And that's what happened.
Look at this.
And I'm like, oh my God. I had to screenshot it. I sent it to all my buddies. I put it on Twitter. I said, hey, look what I just did. I predicted the outcome of the Super Bowl. So I picked the Chiefs. I picked the Bucs. I picked the Rams. I'm going to go with the Eagles because I just believe they have the better offensive line and they have the better defensive line. And I told them if the Eagles play Cincinnati, I kind of don't want to pick because everybody would kind of know how I lean. But people that know me well enough know I'm just as crazy about Kansas City as I am Philadelphia. So there's no bias in any of this. I just think the Eagles are the better team. Mm-hmm. And I think the Chiefs are going to be their toughest challenge yet. I think it's going to be a barn burner. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. It'll probably be a shootout, but the Eagles are going to get to Patrick Mahomes. And if they do early, it could be a blowout.
No, that scares me because Chad Henne he gives me kind of Nick Foles vibes, man. I'm just saying.
Hey, Chad Henne and I used to go to the same football camp when we were younger.
Oh, look at you guys. Adorable.
I can't wait to go down to Glendale next week and be like, hey, buddy, what's going on? You kicked my ass in camp and that. Now you kick it here in the Super Bowl. He'll probably be like, what the heck are you talking to me for?
Jeff, great catching up. Look forward to catching up even more so. Oh, before I let you go, just last question. Better TGIF theme song, Family Matters or Step by Step?
Well, Step by Step is more known for the theme song, so we got to go to that. But as days go by, come on. I used to get so excited for Family, and when they're all trying to hold the door back on Steve.
Great.
I used to get in the feels as a kid when that came on.
All right, brother. Thanks for going on. I'll talk to you in a couple of minutes on your program. Again, that'll be on the Jacob Media YouTube channel coming up at 7:20. My man starts at 7. Jeff, thanks so much, brother. Talk to you soon.
Can't wait to have you on, Farzy. Thanks for having me on.
Good to see you, buddy. Take it easy, man. My fellow, not just a sports guy, of course, but TGIF fanatic, Jeff Kerr. We both were raised on the old TGIF. I think you nailed it. Days Go By is pretty solid. Over the step by step. Day by day. Anyway, John Cheeseborough says Family Matters all day. Man, I got to tell you, I'm still fighting whatever the hell this is, man. Still fighting. Got the cough. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I think I'm out of Dayquil, too. I got to start popping more Dayquil. Got to get more Dayquil. But thanks to Jeff for jumping on. And yes, I'll be jumping on his program coming up in just a little bit. Let me tell you about the great people at Manscaped. Manscaped.com. Use promo code Farzy for 20% off and free shipping when you use promo code Farzy at manscaped.com. You'll enjoy their Platinum Package 4.0. That includes the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, and they come with skin-safe technology that helps you reduce the risk of nicks so you can manscape with confidence and comfort. So go to manscaped.com, 20% off and free shipping with promo code Farzy at manscaped.com. How about Freestone Farm CBD? FreestoneFarmCBD.com. If you like CBD, if you use CBD, if you want to try CBD, if you want to switch up your CBD, try Freestone Farm CBD at FreestoneFarmCBD.com. Freestone Farms, it's where it's at. It is all their premium hemp flower is grown in the Garden State with all organic inputs and IPM. So there's nothing synthetic from farm to jar. And after harvest, they carefully preserve all their plant compounds with a perfect 3-month cure, like a nice soprasata. Just one look or smell. That's enough to let you know it's CBD done right. You'll enjoy the tropical tasting Bayox that clocks into the chart topping 24.1%, and Super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. Genetics of these guys are off the charts. So try Freestone Farm CBD at freestonefarmcbd.com. Use promo code Farzy for 20% off. How about, ladies and gentlemen, the great people at PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's phlsportsnation.com. All right, chat checkers, let's see how we're doing today. Kevin, good morning. Happy Tuesday to you. April, hello. Wicked One. Wicked One. That's how I'll describe my cough. Hello, Wicked One. Welcome to the chat. Good morning, Mark. Let's go, Birds. We are Super Bowl bound. Did you see? I would have loved to see an engagement. I did not, but a couple did get engaged at the Eagles celebration at Center City, so that was cool. Congrats to them. Baseball is so close. You're damn right. It is April. I know PJ's excited about that. PJ can feel it in his bones. Happy non-Hughes Day, everybody. Go Birds. T-Bro. No, we will get Hugh on. I know I've been saying that, but I mean, the man's a little busy right now. Couldn't be happier for my brother. He's back at WIP. That starts a couple weeks, I assume. I guess the lineup changed when Joe goes to the mornings, which is great. Congratulations, Joe. That's awesome. Was tired of getting doubted and disrespected. Wicked One was tired of getting doubted and disrespected throughout the whole season. It was so annoying. Then Whiner fans, love it, wanted to disrespect us. They are acting like cowgirl fans. Wow. That is a low blow, but accurate. We would feel similarly, I think, as a fan base, if we went through what they went through in that game. But here's, I think, what we'd be acknowledging. The opponent put us through a lot of that. The Eagles put the 49ers through a lot of what they experienced in that game. The Eagles pass rush got home. And anytime the pass rush gets home, that puts your quarterback in a little bit of trouble. And when Josh Johnson's got to come in and be your quarterback, that puts you in a whole lot of trouble. And when Josh Johnson gets knocked out of being your quarterback, that puts you even more trouble. Here's a little advice. Protect your quarterback. Maybe bad things won't happen. Anyway, are we supposed to apologize for knocking 2 QBs out of the game and doing what we do? No, Random Anton, of course not. April, I mean, people seem to be forgetting the part where the Eagles played well versus the number 1 defense. They just focus on their injuries to the offense. Give them respect they deserve. April, I concur. Sean Gillespie, what's up, Sean? The Whiners were talking so much trash, and then they're going to say the Eagles are just lucky. 14 wins and dominating in the playoffs. Crying, laughing emoji. Sean, excellent point. Random Anton, it's annoying this whole season. Even before the season, people were doubting us and never gave us credit. I mean, what more can you do? Yeah, just go win the Super Bowl. It is fun the week leading up to the Super Bowl, as I was saying with Jeff. All the complaining, all the whining, all the attempt to discredit what the Eagles have done. Yeah, I don't care. What are you saying down there? Oh, yeah, no. You can't ruin my high. How about that? John Cheeseborough, what's up, brother? A live interview. You're damn right, April. We went live. Live interview. Does this mean an extended Farzy show is coming? I've heard one Niner fan, Sue landed on top of Johnson and should have been flagged. Random. I watched for that multiple times. It did not happen. His arm, what you're not supposed to do is put your weight landing on top of the quarterback, right? So that's why the roll off and it's tackling a quarterback is got to be really difficult for these guys who are going full speed. We saw it in the Commanders game with Taylor Heineke, with Brandon Graham. He was going full speed. He thought Heineke was trying to get back up, and he got him again and got the late penalty. But it's got to be so difficult to go full speed, beat the guy in front of you, get into the backfield, see the pork chop, hanging, being a hungry lion, going after it, and then being like, just lay him down soft. That's got to be tough. So random. That did not happen. He made a great play, and Dominican Sue made a great play. Did not hit the head. Check 1. Okay. Did not land on top. Check 2. And all that landed on top of Josh Johnson was his hand. That's legal. Adam, they were going to reach for something. John Cheeseborough, you're correct. My old job used to have deep fried soft shell crabs. Oh, man. My old job used to have deep fried soft shell crabs. Not sure about that one. Not sure about that one. What about the Dungeness crabs? I'll take a soft shell blue crab. I'll take a regular blue crab. Blue claws. I'll take that. Good old Maryland crabs. I'll take that over the Dungeness any day of the week. Any day of the week. And here's the other thing. Like, you need a crab. You need a little Old Bay. You need a little Old Bay. You know what I'm saying? I hope the team is taking an exception, no doubt. Sean Gillespie, easiest path happens when you win 14 games. Touche. Mihai Sanchez, morning, Mark. Eagles haters can keep hating why we got our second Super Bowl. If we're going to be hated, let's be good. Fly, Eagles, fly. It's a Philly thing. Love it. Ari, what's up? Ari? Okay. It's 3:30 on the West Coast, y'all. But wide awake and jumping in, say hi, to say hi. Fly, Eagles, fly. Actually, my birthday. And Howie, that nice guy, got me a Super Bowl berth. Hey, happy birthday, Ari. That's beautiful. Hope your boys get you something good for your birthday. Sing a great rendition of the Eagles fight song for your birthday. That'd be nice. Random Anton, what's going on? Mihai, our fault. Kyle Shanahan didn't challenge Devontae Smith catch part of the game. That's true. Be pissed at your head coach. Once you see a guy get up and bolt to the sideline, bolt to snap the ball again, you should probably make sure you're looking at that catch again. Catch. All right, actually watching with the sound off because my wife is asleep next to me and I can't find my headphones. I'll catch up on the birds. Hey, sweet dreams to the missus. Happy birthday to Howie and Ari. Damn right. The 1996 loss to the 49ers was the first game I remember watching. I remember because of the PTSD. I'm so glad we won. Don't care. They won the Super Bowl, I assume it means, because they obviously lost that game. Wicked won. Isn't it? Are you wicked? Just curious. Bengals Chiefs game was one of the worst officiating games I've ever seen, especially that intentional grounding on Burrow. There was a receiver in front of him. That was the botch call. I thought the late hit on Mahomes was a good call. Yes, it put them in field goal range. But I was making this point with somebody yesterday that the thing that made the penalty so egregious and worth throwing the flag over was the fact that not only was Mahomes already out of bounds, but he was only going in that direction. He wasn't turning it upfield. And it wasn't like a momentum play where the defensive player is putting his head down and like trying to shove him out of bounds with his shoulder. That I could see as a momentum play where he takes his eye off the target. But even that is not a smart play. But the fact that he was watching him the whole time, saw he was out of bounds, and still extended his arms to make contact, that was stupid. You can't do that. Yeah, if you're going out of bounds, put your hand up as a defender, avoid the call. I agree. The Blue Claws, yeah. Baseball, I know, I thought the same thing. But yeah, Maryland Blues, baby. I was raised on them. My mom's from Balmer. My mom's from Dundalk, man. It is amazing to me when I meet people that don't know how to pick a crab. And it's also amazing to me when people are like, I don't get it. It's not Philly. I don't get filled up. And it's like, well, first off, you're not drinking enough beer. Okay. First off. And then second, I learned this later in life with my dad's side of the family. You always have like a thing of linguine or pasta or something like that to go right along with the crab. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, man, that's fantastic. But if you're telling me, if you're asking me like some of my greatest memories as a kid that have nothing to do with sports, let's just say it has nothing to do with sports, going to Baltimore, going to hang out with my mom's family, the Polish people, that I love so much, going to hang out with them, sitting down on the bay or one of the canals, like Summers Point or something like that, and sitting there with long picnic tables all lined up, and just like people just dumping crabs on the table, and me and my cousins just going to town, man. And we'd be there for hours with our high C, and Kool-Aid and drink. And then now as adults, just getting hammered. Those are some of my fondest memories. Finger licking good, man. Oh, those crabs are so good. And still the occasion where we still do that now as adults. Oh, it's your gamer tag, Wicked One. Glad to hear that you are, in fact, wicked. Lobster salad, lobster mac and cheese is good. That is fantastic. And I will say, one year for Christmas Eve, I did make a lobster pizza, just like the old country. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are great, as per usual. Let's get to the Morning Rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars, skymotorcars.com. I mentioned the 76ers are back at it. Trying to bounce back from an awful loss to the Orlando Magic tomorrow night. Another 7 o'clock tip-off against the Magic. This one still in South Philadelphia. So hopefully the Sixers do what they should do and bounce back in that one. Flyers back at it as well. They got some time off here for the break. Islanders, they're back at it not till the 6th. They're taking on the Islanders. But they ended, I guess, the unofficial first half of the season with a 4-0 victory. Great to see there. In that regard. So congratulations to them. The 4-0 win was also Carter Hart's shutout. So that was great. Ladies and gentlemen, bonus me today with Jeff Kerr, who is our guest today. I'll be a guest on his show coming up at 7:20. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This has been the Farzy Show presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price, the perfect price. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow. Jim Hyde produced the program. Did a wonderful job. As per usual, this is a Buzz Sports Entertainment production. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. See ya.